Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we will travel to beautiful Savannah, Georgia. I will tell you its history, show you some beautiful sights. We'll take a couple of road trips and you will see a warm slope plantation as well as a Bonaventure cemetery. I will also share a couple of tools that I used in order to make reservations for different road trips and to book a hotel. No matter where you travel, either going overseas or staying in the United States, there are a couple of easy ways to book your trip. General James Oglethorpe arrived from England with his crew, and the last 13th colony was established in 1733, named after King George II of England. Savannah is the oldest city in Georgia, and it was the first planned city. Lawyers, drinking, and slaves were outlawed, but in 1751, Georgia made slavery legal. Savannah has beautiful parks and squares. Forrest Gump movie was filmed here as well. In this movie, Tom Hanks was sitting on the bench in the park and was telling his life story to everybody who was sitting right next to him. He said a famous line, "Life is like a box of chocolates." This famous bench is still located in the Museum of Savannah. Forsyth Park has the most visited and most photographed attraction, and that is its fountain. The fountain was purchased through a Sears catalog and installed in 1858. This gorgeous fountain was modeled after a fountain in Paris, France. The fountain is located at the north end of the park, which was the location of the French trenches in the 1779 siege of Savannah. Every year on St. Patrick's Day, the fountain water is dyed green in celebration of Savannah's Irish heritage. The city's population is only 140,000, but every year it welcomes 600,000 visitors for St. Patrick's Parade, the second largest one in the country after the one celebrated in New York City. Savannah's climate is subtropical, and the beautiful oak trees are covered with Spanish moss. Spanish moss is not real moss. It's a perennial herb in the pineapple family. The plant is airborne and it uses the tree to support it. It does not cause any harm or damage to the tree, and it moves around with the help of the wind. Worm Slope Plantation was established in 1730. It was a colonial estate established by Noble James, who arrived from the first group of settlers from England. The plantation grew corn, cotton, rice, and fruits, although the plantation was never proved profitable. Noble James amassed his wealth through real estate and as a judge, militant captain, and colonial legislator. And this is the majestic oak. This tree is believed to be almost 400 years old, and it used to be part of the Worm Slope Plantation. Many people believe that this is the oldest oak tree in Savannah. Savannah has a lot of history and beautiful buildings. The oldest home in Savannah is the Pirate's House. It opened as an inn in 1753 and had many underground tunnels that pirates used to escape the city or to bring illegal alcohol. When the colony was first established, liquor was banned, as well as Catholics. Cathedral St. John the Baptist was opened in 1800s after they lifted the prohibition of Catholicism. The reason Catholics were banned in Savannah was because of fears of potential allegiances with the Spanish Catholics in Florida. Savannah is one of the most haunted cities since it was built over the dead. From mass graves and Native American burial grounds, the city was also hit by yellow fever epidemic and a couple of big fires. Due to these factors, this cemetery that is called Bonaventure Cemetery became extremely popular tourist attraction for ghost hunters and those who just want to see the piece of history. One of the most famous graves is of little Gracie Watson, who died in 1889. She was only 6 years old, and she was born to the Watson family that owned the most luxurious Pulaski Hotel in the city. Poor Gracie died of the sudden pneumonia, and to this day, her grave is one of the most visited. Many of these burial plots were established 300 years ago, but to this day, some family own these plots and they come and visit. Even their descendants still get buried here to this day. In some other southern parts of the United States, like New Orleans, most tombs are built above ground because the city is located below the sea level, and bodies would float above ground, so they started burying them in the tombs instead. There are some other interesting traditions. One of them is when the Jewish Orthodox would place stones on the grave instead of flowers, believing that the flowers will fade away and stones would be a better choice to show that you care and that you stopped by and visited the grave. In the days of yellow fever, many people were buried alive. From the first 4,000 settlers, only 1,500 remained. Saved by the Bell was a new tradition where the bell was installed on top of the grave and the string was put inside of the coffin in case the person wakes up from the sickness and that person could call for help. Juliet Lowe founded Girl Scouts of America here in Savannah. This is a girls' organization where girls are learning how to build their own business, sell cookies, help elderly and animal shelters, and just gather for fun activities like dancing and camping. This is one of the original mansions of Andrew Lowe. He was a New York architect and he built his house in 1800s. Its garden has one of the original garden plants in the city. The home was inherited in 1886 by Mr. Lowe's son, William, and his wife, Juliet Gordon Lowe. Yes, that Juliet Lowe who was the founder of Girl Scouts of America. Being one of the original mansions, this house is also haunted by ghosts. Sometimes people can hear the piano playing during the day, that piano on the right, and sometimes people hear footsteps going up the steps. And upstairs in the bedroom, people saw a man sitting in the rocking chair reading a book. In this kid's room, sometimes there is laughter, and those porcelain dolls are pretty creepy. Back in the day, there was no running water, so in the bathrooms they used buckets and containers to bring water and wash themselves. Now I would like to show you this beautiful town of Savannah, very historic, and looking at these mansions, I'm going to tell you the history of slavery in this town, because this city was built on slave labor. Originally, when the colony of Georgia was established in 1700s, the colony did not welcome slaves, liquor, lawyers, and Catholics. But unfortunately, in 1750s, the ban on slavery was lifted and it became a royal colony in 1754, and Savannah became the most southern city that supported slavery. Plantation slavery was a chief driver of the transatlantic and domestic slave trades. In March of 1857, Savannah had the largest sale of slaves for 2 days. It rained the whole time, and that time was called the weeping time. Originally, the Georgia colony, led by the British General James Oglethorpe, requested and received black laborers from the neighboring colony of South Carolina to help construct the city. Colonists at that time could not imagine their life without slavery, due to their dependency on agriculture and cotton economy, as well as rice plantations. Savannah's slave-produced wealth is still evident in gracious squares of the planned city. The owners of the slaves would also loan them to others, and their wages were ultimately the property of their owners. Civil War made the shift to freeing slaves. It was the population of 16,000 slaves on the eve of the Revolutionary War, with the majority of Africans. Following the Civil War, blacks briefly gained access to the votes and the political office, and expanded churches and schools. For the next 40 years, they fought for their full rights as citizens. By 1900s, whites limited blacks by legal segregation, and Savannah's blacks became active members of regional and national efforts to march towards their freedom and autonomy. That work would not see any fruit until mid-1950s, when a series of Supreme Court decisions struck down legal segregation. During the Civil War, General Sherman of the Union had destroyed every town they went through. And unlike other cities, Savannah was so beautiful that he gifted it to President Lincoln as a Christmas gift. The city's cobblestone streets and steep steps are very exotic. These stones actually came from all over the world and were used to balance the ships as they sailed to Savannah. When they unloaded it, they used stones to make roads. The city has a lot of historic charm, beautiful buildings, a lot of galleries, museums, and art studios. You can go shopping, have a bite to eat. You can find all kinds of activities around town for a nice long weekend. The oldest home in Savannah is the Pirate's House. It opened as an inn in 1753 and had many underground tunnels for pirates to escape through. Back in the day when alcohol was illegal, the tunnels were used to bring alcohol in the city. In the modern day, Savannah is one of the few places where you can have open containers with alcohol. Savannah River goes into the Atlantic Ocean, and sometimes you can even see dolphins here. It is a busy place for tourists. It has a lot of cafes and restaurants, and you can watch the ships go into the port of Savannah. Today, Savannah's port is number 3 in the United States after New York Port. Paid labor was used to build the port, in comparison to Charleston, South Carolina, and some other cities in the United States that were built by slaves. The city established itself as an international shipping center. The chief crops of the neighboring plantations were rice and cotton. Although Civil War devastated Savannah's economy, by 1870, Savannah was prosperous again through exports of cotton, pine timber, lumber, and food processing. They also learned how to make indigo paint, and it also became great industry for export. In 1767, almost 1 ton of silk a year was exported to England. If you find the content of this video interesting, please don't forget to like it and subscribe to my channel. Now I'm going to share some tools with you that I use in order to make reservations online. So first, I'm going to start with a website called Viator. It is a TripAdvisor company that offers different services on booking and making reservations for activities. You can create your own profile and save different tours and activities for later time to review, or you can make a reservation and a booking right away. So let's say we're going to Savannah and I'm going to pick dates. Let's say we're going to pick dates for April. When you choose your destination, it does not have to be only United States. In the past, I was able to make reservations through Viator for international trips as well. There are all kinds of activities, and these are all legitimate companies that provide these activities. You can even check the ratings of these activities from the real people who went on the tour. They review not only the company, but also the sites that they visited, whether it was worth their time and money or not. You can also customize the type of tours you would like to do, either sightseeing, city tours, ghost tours, food tours. There are all kinds of options. So when you're looking at Viator and you would like to review this specific activity, scroll down for more information. It will also offer you other tours that you can do from the competition or from just other providers. So you pick the dates and then you can review different options that are available to you for those specific dates. How much it costs, whether you can reserve it now or pay later, or just book right away and get your tickets now. It will also give you a description of how many hours or how long the tour lasts, what's included in the tour, where they will meet you, what time it will start, or what time is the operating hours for this company, as well as all the stops and activities included in the tour, or specific activities that you can do on this specific trolley bus, for example. Any additional information about the tour provider, about the tickets and accessibility will be given in the additional windows. At the bottom, you will also find frequently asked questions and some answers. And if you cannot find all the answers, you can email the tour provider directly and find out. So you do not have to go on site or call them. You can do everything through this website. There are other options for the riverboat sightseeing, different trolley tours, dinner tours. The website gives you a lot of different options. Just make sure to reserve your spot way in advance. I usually do it 30 to 60 days in advance just because these tours get booked up early. This tour was a boat tour on Georgia Your Queen, and it included dinner for $100 a person. So for 2 hours, you're on the boat, eating, dancing, sightseeing, and I thought it was a great tour overall. This boat did offer sightseeing tours as well, so on the upper decks, there are people who did not purchase dinner, and they just spent 2 hours on the boat touring. Down here, we were offered dinner with prime rib, shrimp, and all kinds of delicacies, and it was great. Another tool that I use all the time is Booking.com website. You can also install an app on your phone. Usually I use this website in order to book the stays like hotels as well as taxis. You can also look for flights here and compare with other websites. But I use it primarily for hotels, and being a member, it also gives you additional discounts for future purchases. So you can find the hotel based on what filters you choose, like the pool, for example, or if you want to be located in the city center. And it's going to give you pictures of the hotel, the location. You can also see how far it is distance-wise from the airport, and choose the room type that you like and how many people is coming with you on this trip. It is a very convenient way to reserve a room without paying for it, and you can actually either prepay, but most of the time you can just reserve a room by providing your own information and then paying for the hotel once you get there. When you're booking in advance, a lot of times the rates are cheaper, so again, I would advise to book it 30 days in advance. Thank you so much for watching. You can see more videos like this on my channel.